Welcome to the program Strategic Vision, a conference produced and transmitted via satellite by the International Training Center from San Diego State University. We are transmitting live from the studios of KPBS located on the campus of SDSU. We welcome our participants who are joining us from 44 cities of the Republic of Mexico and 2 cities in Ecuador, South America. Welcome, Van Crecer, Subsecretaría de Educación e Investigación Tecnológica with the Technological Institutes, the Technological Autonomous Institute of Mexico, the Teléfonos de México Technological Institute, Intelmex, the National Training Institute on Fiscal Matters, all participating from Mexico. Also, welcome to the participants in South America from Quito and Guayaquil, Ecuador, sponsored by Acropolis Expo Events. I'm Hector Molina, your moderator. This is the 4th in a series of interactive video conferences on the topic of business management produced by the International Training Center. This program demonstrates the capability of using telecommunications in education and professional development for international audiences. You can receive this program either in English or in Spanish with simultaneous interpreting, depending on the channel you select. On the Spanish language channel, there will be 2 different interpreters. This program was designed to demonstrate the practical uses of modern communications technology. It uses a mixture of live and pre-taped production techniques to improve the content and quality of the conference. You can send your questions via fax or by phone directly to the studio during the 3 question and answer sessions as indicated in your program agenda. We will try to accommodate as many questions as possible. We only ask that your questions be brief and as concise as possible. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Thomas Hoffman. Mr. Hoffman is Chief of Staff of the distinguished company AT&T. AT&T has been a leader in human resource development and recognized by its high standards in total quality, sales, and customer service. For decades, AT&T has been a leader in research, systems and equipment design, and technological innovations in communications for telephony. Mr. Hoffman has valuable experience in the design and implementation of programs for human resource development. Applying a new approach, Mr. Hoffman has successfully introduced the philosophy of quality within AT&T, obtaining outstanding results in sales, customer service, and employee work satisfaction. With these achievements in his professional career, he has been selected as an official tester evaluator for the Malcolm Baldrige Award. Mr. Hoffman has traveled from San Francisco to be with us today. Welcome, Mr. Hoffman.
Good morning, Hector.
How is your presentation organized today under the title of Strategic Values, Quality, and Leadership?
The presentation I have today is in 3 sections. The first section is about the importance of vision and how in our quality effort we found that vision became the heart of our quality effort. The second section is in reference to culture and the importance that culture plays in how we present the concepts of quality to our organization, and how that led us from culture to values, which became the foundation of our quality effort. In our third section of the talk, I'll talk to you about an approach to values-driven leadership, which we developed as our way within the sales organization at AT&T to introduce the concepts of quality.
Can the principles that you'll be presenting be applied to different kinds of organizations, such as government organizations, educational institutions, or manufacturing firms, and also taking into account the Latin American reality as compared to the U.S. Reality where these concepts have previously been applied?
Yes, I believe that the principles that we'll be talking about today are very universal in application. And also that, in fact, we have been working with some of the local government, some of the educational systems, some of the university systems in the application of these principles, and have been very successful as well. And so I think there is application. And I believe also in terms of the international marketplace, since as companies become more global, and AT&T is becoming a global company as well, we have experienced the same type of reception and the same importance. And I think one of the keys to this is that we do need to understand the cultural differences to be successful. And as we adopt things, that we make sure that we put them within the framework of the cultures with which we're dealing. And so I think that is very important, and I do believe that they are applicable. Yes.
When you began your journey to quality, how long did you think it was going to take?
Well, when we began our journey, I think we really believed that we could accomplish our task within a relatively short time. We seem to be very task-oriented and within the business and very excited about achieving objectives. However, we knew that it was going to take some time, but we didn't know how long. And I think today we wish that we were further along than we are, because it has been a journey which has now consumed about 8.5 years. And in those 8.5 years, we've learned some things that have been very, very important to us, and I believe very important that I can share with you all. And also that the journey has a long ways to go. And as quality improvement never ends, I suspect this journey isn't going to end either, Hector.
What were some of the biggest obstacles that you came across when you attempted to introduce capital, particularly middle management?
Well, some of the biggest obstacles we ran into, associated particularly with the middle management, were the historical culture that we had developed within the business that was associated with control or managing. And I think as we change from the concept of managing to an organization become one which is referred to as a learning organization, that managers need to change how they're managing and actually become leaders. And I think it's through leadership that, in fact, we will achieve the objective. So that is one of the, so it becomes a control paradigm that really needed to be changed with reference to the middle managers. Some of the other obstacles, of course, are how the leaders believed that this was going to impact what they had envisioned the business to become. And so we had to educate the leaders as well, the top leaders, as to the power that this approach could give them in becoming even more successful than they were. Because we had been successful, but as an organization becomes successful, and as many of you probably have experienced yourselves, that once you reach a level of success, there's sort of a glass ceiling that you run into, and you say, what are the major breakthroughs, or what are the keys to the next level of success? And I think that these are some of those.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hoffman will now be presenting his first segment of his talk on strategic values.
There is no expressway to the future, no paved highways from here to tomorrow. There are only uncharted landscapes. There aren't any detailed maps, no lit road signs. So as leaders, you have to rely on a dream, a vision of what is possible. We had a dream, and along the way discovered some insights which enriched our dream, enriched each person in the organization, and which we believe will enrich our customers. It occurred on our quest for quality. Today, I'll share with you some of that journey, how we discovered the role of vision in quality. Well, what is a vision? Essentially, a vision is the what. It is a consciously created picture, an ideal of what personally we would like to be, or what we would like the organization to be. AT&T defines vision as a consciously created fantasy of what we would ideally like the organization to be, a waking dream. The critical point is, according to Warren Bennis and Bern Nannis, a vision articulates a realistic, a credible, and an attractive future, a condition that is in some important ways better than what now exists. Christopher Columbus had a vision that he could reach the East Indies more quickly by sailing west instead of around the Cape. And although his critics challenged whether it was realistic or not, getting silks and spices more quickly and without interruption would certainly improve the condition that then existed. Experts agree that the sources of vision are intuition, experience, and past knowledge applied to the present. When you are presented with a business problem, what do? You select relevant information, make relevant comparisons, integrate experience with the current situation, and make a judgment or decision on what you'll do. Because the process you use may be or appear illogical, the experts say there have been few studies on it. However, you do intuit what you believe should be done. H. Ross Perot defines intuition as being able to bring to bear in a situation everything you've seen, felt, and tasted and experienced in an industry. The greater your experience base, the more you understand what happens, how things happen, and who makes things happen, and how those people make things happen, the greater your potential for creating a clear vision. Think of the work of Thomas Edison for a moment. Think of all those experiments, the errors, yet each one of those efforts provided more experience and knowledge which he could apply to his vision of the electric light bulb. Reflecting on your own experiences and knowledge, how have your personal visions or dreams evolved over the years? Have the realities and experiences you've had in the marketplace required you to modify or change the visions that your companies have? What do the experts say the qualities of vision are? First, vision is a C word. It's a picture. It's a word that creates an image. A vision creates an image of a standard of excellence and an ideal state, a sense of the possible. It expresses hope. Secondly, vision expresses an ideal condition, and by doing so, reveals our value preferences. For example, if your vision were to provide illegal drugs to every teenager globally at the cheapest price, one very quickly would understand the value preferences of your business. Thirdly, visions are unique. Your company's vision sets you apart from your competitors. It tells those people who work for you and those outside of the business what is different about you, what you stand for. This differentiation attracts customers. It attracts capitals from investors who believe in what you're attempting to do. And it attracts the right employees to make the vision a reality. Uniqueness fosters pride, self-esteem, and self-respect in your organization because it gives your organization an identity and gives your people a common purpose, a way for people to join together. The qualities of a vision remind me of President John F. Kennedy in 1960 when he had a vision of putting a man on the moon. Think for a moment the image, a man stepping out of a spacecraft and walking on the surface of the moon for the first time. Think of the ideal that presented in terms of furthering knowledge of space, the value of exploring the unknown, and the important role science was going to play in the United States' future. The uniqueness of the challenge set the United States apart from other nations. The challenge created pride and self-esteem in the people working on the project, in the people of the nation. It gave the nation a common purpose. The challenge for you as leaders is to paint a vision which incorporates those qualities. Recall, the vision is the what. It is a picture of the future, that which you wish to create. And the vision is the channel for the composite vision of the team. The medium that you have available to you to paint that vision is metaphors, analogies, examples, anecdotes, slogans, poetry, quotations, humor, pictures, and symbols. Through the appropriate choice of language, the leader gives expression to the vision, and in order to engage everyone in the organization. Martin Luther King, in his speech, "I Have a Dream," captures those qualities by saying, "I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners, will be able to sit down at the same table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day even the state of Mississippi, a desert state sweltering in the heat of injustice and oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Do your visions sound like that? Does the language give expression to your vision in such a way that it captures the hearts of the people? Is it the role? It is the role of the leader to create the vision. It is the role of the leader to articulate the vision. It is the role of the leader to engage the people, because visions only seen by leaders can't create organized movement. As Jules Verne said, anything one person can imagine, other people can make real. Leaders must engage others to see and visualize the future, the possibilities. Their responsibility is to breathe life into the vision so they are communicated in such a way that others can make the vision their own, in such a way that each individual in the organization knows that the function they're performing contributes to that vision, in such a way that others want to follow, in such a way that the followers become enthusiastic supporters. When visions are shared, says Joel Barker, they become a force in people's hearts. And when people commit together, visions become real and can change the world. Theodore Vail, one of our early presidents of AT&T, had a vision of universal service, a phone in every home. By engaging his dream and others in his dream, today there's an average of over 2 telephones in every home in the United States. Bill Gates, the CEO of Microsoft, had a vision to make computers easy to use. Oh, I wish I had that. Make it easier to use, right? By developing a user-friendly operating system. The result, Mr. Gates had his products on 70% of the computers worldwide. Not only did he make the computer easier, but by engaging others in his dream and his vision, he accelerated the way people learn. He changed how people conduct business. He changed how people communicate with each other. He changed how people entertain themselves. Mr. Vail and Mr. Gates were leaders who breathed life into their visions by engaging the hearts and minds of their followers. Leaders who along the journey became coaches and mentors for their teams. Leaders who celebrated successes with their teams, and leaders who made their dreams a reality by engaging others. For as Joel Barker says at the end of his tape entitled The Power of Vision, vision without action is merely a dream. Action without vision just passes the time. Vision with action can change the world. So what does this have to do with quality? And what did we learn about the role of vision in quality? I could answer that question very easily by saying nothing, or we learned everything. Nothing in the sense that over the years we had heard about vision, and we had heard we should have one, but maybe we just didn't listen, so the answer was nothing. Everything, however, on the other hand, in the sense that we learned that vision is the heart of quality. When we started, one could say that we were living the words of M. Provost. We don't receive wisdom, we must discover it for ourselves after a journey that no one else can take for us. For us at AT&T, there's a long history of quality. Deming, Duran, Schuhart, and Bonnie Small all worked at AT&T during their tenure and developed many of the current quality techniques used today. How does the saying go? A prophet is never recognized in his own country. Well, we adopted many of the quality technologies in our manufacturing centers over the years, but we had not adopted quality technologies into our management system. And our management system changed significantly in 1987 to address the marketplace more effectively. Namely, we structured into business units, and each business unit has a great deal of autonomy. Each unit has the ability to address their customers independently. And in addition to that, in 1988, our chairman Bob Allen challenged all the business units to achieve world-class quality by the mid-90s. As a result, there's actually been more than one journey. Each business unit began their quest for quality differently. Some started with champions in the middle, some started with champions at the top, and we all started in a way by talking to the recognized gurus and decided that we really needed to begin by introducing teams and adopting a quality improvement cycle, which included a problem-solving methodology that would result in quality. After all, if we had those 2 ingredients, we had everything else, so that must be the answer. Quality training was conducted, quality improvement teams were formed, And before long, we had what we refer to today as the 1,000 flowers concepts. We had teams working on almost everything. And on the surface, it all looked as if it was okay, and the right things were happening. People were involved. Teams were addressing business issues. People began thinking that maybe this time we were creating an environment where they could be empowered. Although I remember leading a team and getting totally frustrated. It was taking forever to get anything done. The quality consultant was ensuring that we were using every tool in the book, crossing every T, dotting every I. And when the team would finish their product and implement the solution, everyone celebrated, and the solution failed. What happened? What went wrong? We followed everything the experts had told us, didn't we? Yet we learned several important lessons. Our introductory approach wasn't holistic, and we had relegated quality to something that a team did in a conference room. And when the people emerged and went back to their desks, they went back to the old ways of doing things. So quality wasn't connected to what people did every day. It was what they did in the conference room. And the quality behaviors weren't being coached by the managers and leaders. Also, the solutions that were proposed and implemented were for the functional organizations in which the teams worked. So, for example, suddenly an order which used to get processed and installed suddenly failed to bill. We actually broke processes which had been working. Good quality effort, huh? Naturally, the skeptics were pleased because they knew all along it wasn't going to work. We actually had created an environment where people became disenchanted with quality in the process. We needed to move quality into daily work life. Managers and leaders needed to learn how to coach and develop the discipline of using problem-solving techniques as the basis for approaching everything they did. Employees began using quality technologies at their position and then took the skill with them to the conference room where they worked on teams. Simultaneously, we introduced a quality technology we call Process Quality Management Improvement, or PQMI, a technology which was developed by Bell Laboratories and which enables everyone to address work horizontally, an end-to-end process, a definition which begins with the customer and ends with customer satisfaction. PQMI was a major breakthrough for us in understanding and assigning process ownership and stewardship. PQMI forced us to break down those artificial barriers or those artificial functional organizations. And fortunately, we discovered that we hadn't lost our early investment and that the QIC effort and PQMI technologies were compatible. The process owners who defined the process in PQMI could approach and commission the quality improvement teams to address the functional process improvements, thus ensuring that the teams did not harm the overall process. Significant progress in our quality effort occurred during this stage, but something else began to appear missing. Namely, are the processes which we are performing by the various groups the correct ones? Are they helping us achieve our objectives? Do they fit into our strategies? How do we know this? We didn't. Once again, the road had ended and another uncharted landscape had appeared. It became painfully clear to us that most of our employees did not know what the strategies were, which led to many discussions about whether they should know or not, and what were the risks of having everyone know. What would happen if they would slip over dinner at a restaurant and mention the strategies to a fellow associate and be overheard by a competitor? Well, competitor or not, fundamentally the employees needed to know the strategies if we were going to be successful as a business, much less continue making progress on our quality journey. To accommodate the need, we adopted strategy alignment, or as some call it, policy deployment, as a means to ensure that everyone could identify that the work they were performing on a daily basis led to and supported where we were going as a business, and that the quality improvement teams were directly connected their activities to achieving the business unit strategy and strategic objectives. As a result, for example, one of the business units discovered that they needed to drop a complete product line because it didn't fit into the long-term strategy of the unit. Well, the model that you've been seeing, our triangle, was complete. So we must certainly be close to working on continuous improvement refinements now, right? Not so fast, you say. And you can probably guess by now, the heart of our triangle was discovered to be missing. If we were doing all these processes, all these functions, and they were in direct support of our strategies, do we have the correct strategies? What was it that we wanted to become? What was our vision? Did we have a vision that created an image of what we wanted to become? Did we have an ideal which defined our value preferences? Was it unique? Did it define who we were versus our competitors? Did it provide a common purpose for our associates? The answer was partially yes. Each of the units had a vision, but many associates couldn't articulate it or relate to it. In my immediate organization, we learned through the assistance of Bill Belgard in a course entitled Cultural Change to Achieve World Class that cascading the vision through the organization needed to be augmented by each natural work team developing their own vision. It is essential to take the time as a group to define their vision, to take the time to use the words that they understand, to take the time to create their personal vision in order to commit to the organization's vision. This was a key ingredient we had missed, and the experience was that we needed to develop visions as a group. While it remains the role of the leader to create the vision, in large organizations, the vision needs to be supported by team-developed visions. Vision became the engine of our efforts, and another landscape had been paved. But again, the road ended. And once again, before our vision of quality could become a reality, we had to pave another landscape. Was our model still not complete? I'll discuss the final two barriers in the next segment.
Esa fue nuestra primera sección.
That was our first segment on vision and quality. We'll now have our first Q&A session. The telephone number is 619-265-1021, and by fax in our studio, the number is 619-594-8178. We've already received our first question. It comes from the Tlalnepantla Technological Institute. How can you measure if a vision is feasible and avoid impossible